Hi, this is Chris with Going a Different Direction. Today I'm doing a quick how-to video on setting up a auxiliary light bar on the e-bike bike rack that we have on the back of our truck. We've had a little bit of an issue with the wheels and the tires obscuring the view of the taillights, and so trying to come up with a solution that is cheap, easy, and practical, and also doesn't do any permanent damage to either the bike rack, the truck, or the e-bikes. So we've come up with a solution. We'll walk through it, and then hopefully at the end see that it is doing really what it should be doing, which is giving us a much more visible view of the lights, and still allowing us to use the rack as it is designed. So stick with us and see what happens. Thanks. So here's the issue I plan on addressing with today's project. As you can see, when I have my two Himaway step-through cruisers mounted on my Hollywood Racks RV Rider bike rack, they do a pretty good job of obscuring the tail lights on my vehicle. So when my blinkers are on, it makes it somewhat difficult to see the blinkers, and when the brake lights are on, it also blocks my brakes. So the project today is to add a small light bar basically right here across this top of this upper U, so that there is a visible light source that is unobstructed by any of the bikes themselves. Alright, the tools and equipment for this project are all laid out here. I got a couple different options for cutting the metal. On this side I have a small bandsaw, a small reciprocating saw, and even a cutoff wheel if you have one of those. Otherwise you could also use just a hacksaw. I happen to have the power tools, so I figured I'd go with them. For cleaning up the edges, again, in here in the middle, you've got the angle grinder and then a metal file, just for knocking down those sharp edges after everything is cut. For tightening all my nuts and bolts, right here in the middle I have a 1/2 inch impact driver with a socket and a crescent wrench, adjustable wrench, just to get those nuts tightened up once they're on there. And then the actual materials for the project are going to be right here in the middle. This is a piece of 2 inch by 1 inch by 3 foot long angle iron that has all of the holes in it, so you can adjust your screw locations. Then there's a couple U-bolts. Those are 2 inch wide by 3 inch long U-bolts. There's a couple just carriage bolts that will hold part of the assembly together. And then the last couple things over there on the side, a piece of some electrical tape, just to keep from scratching up the bike rack itself, a tape measure, a pencil, a can of flat black spray paint to match the finish of the bike rack itself, and then a couple zip ties to aid in controlling the wire when everything is done. So the solution that I came up with was to use basically it's a tow vehicle light kit. And I'll show you what I have here and where I got it and give you a little bit of information on it. This is called a Towmate, or Towmate is the company that sells it. All it is it's simply a light bar, similar to what would be like on the top of your vehicle over your pickup truck bed or the top hatch of your vehicle. Only this one has 2 large magnets, and it has about a 12-foot cord that allows you then to either attach to a 4-flat tow setup, or if you have the 7-round like I have on the back of my pickup truck, you just get this adapter which allows the 4-flat to plug into one side and then the 7-round to plug into the back of the vehicle. I purchased this on Amazon about 2 months ago. It was about 105 bucks. Unfortunately right now on Amazon it says it is unavailable. However, if you go to Towmate, they are the ones that sell it directly, and it may be available from the supplier. So what this is going to allow me to do is then set up a light bar on the top of the bike rack that is going to give me both my running lights, my blinkers, and my brake lights when those functions are initiated from the truck itself. This will hopefully, like I said, solve the solution of my lights being blocked by the tires on the bikes. As you can see, this is the top of the separator between the two bikes. So if I back out a little bit, you can see how that U piece comes up from the bottom, and then that's what the individual bike clamps attach to. My plan is to be able to put this right about in there, so that from a distance it's completely unblocked. It's going to be just out of my line of sight when I'm looking out the back of the vehicle, and it will not slide off or fall. The problem is right now these magnets are just a little bit wider than the upper portion of that U, which doesn't allow me to connect anything. If I put it on an angle, it will definitely snap on there and hold, but then your left and right blinker are pointing up and down instead of left and right. And well, you've seen people on the roadway, so I'm sure that would confuse a lot of people if I put my blinker on and it was pointing towards the sky. So for those that struggle with blinker use, this is for those guys. So just to kind of recap what I just did, I took the 3-foot piece of angle iron and went ahead and cut it into two 13-inch sections. I then went back with the angle grinder and the file and rounded off all of my cut edges so there's no sharp edges there. I then took my U-bolts, and where they're going to come in contact with the frame of the bike rack, both on the U-bolt and on the cross piece, I went ahead and just put a little bit of electrical tape around that so that it doesn't rub metal on metal and chew up the bike rack in case I someday don't want to use this. I don't have a big scratch mark where it had been. The next step, I'm just going to quick hit this with a little bit of black flat spray paint and get everything covered and ready for assembly. All right, so all the pieces are dry, and now it is time to go ahead and start assembling. I'm going to use the two pieces of angle iron. One is going to attach to the bike rack U, the upper U. The second is going to attach to the first piece of angle iron. That'll give me a flat 90-degree mount. And then hopefully, when it's all done, the magnets will just stick right to the metal bar and hold the light assembly in place. So this is what the finished assembly looks like from straight back. Zoom out, you can see it just sticks up a little bit. And then if I come to the side, you can see how by using the double piece of angle iron, I was able to stack them so that it created that elevated perpendicular platform to attach the lights to. And you can see how the backside of the U-bolts with the electrical tape around them are not rubbing up against the metal. One thing that I did not take into account was this section right here is going to be metal on metal. So I may end up coming back and putting a little spacer in between there just to keep that from rubbing. So this is what the final assembly looks like. once the bikes are off, I'll come back and spray all the bolt and nuts with some of the black paint just to go ahead and kind of blend that all in. I'm going to go ahead and put the light on it and show you what that looks like. Once the light bar is on there, it attaches pretty firmly. So here's the final wiring setup. You can see the gray cord, gray wire comes right out the bottom of the light bar. I just have it run down in between the two bikes. And then the extra, I just coiled up, zip tied it, and conveniently on the bottom of the hitch assembly, there is a little clevis pin that you can hook it to, kind of like the safety pin on a breakaway brake setup. And so I just have it looped. I have the loop run through that hook, and then the rest of it plugs right into my 7-round mount on the back of the truck. All right, so this is the bike rack with the new light bar on the top. As you can see right now, the lights are off, but once the lights are on, you can see I now have running lights that are visible at all times. When the blinkers go on, you can see left blinker and right blinker. And then when the brakes are applied, you can see clearly that the brakes are on. So from where we were before to where we are now, I believe that's going to be a huge improvement. Thanks for following along on this project. I hope you were able to get something out of it. If you are looking for a solution to a light bar on your bike rack so that your tail lights, brake lights, turn signals are all much more visible, this is definitely an option that I think will work. It's not that much as far as materials or tools to be able to put something together. Hope you enjoy the video. If you did, please make sure you hit the like button. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so. We'll be doing more DIY travel videos, destination, location videos, park reviews, things like that. And until the next video, this is Chris, and we are going a different direction.